What's up guys, Firewolf here, reviewing the AORUS FO32U2 Pro gaming monitor. This is a 32-inch 4K QD-OLED monitor that features a 240Hz refresh rate and an ultra-low 0.03 millisecond response time. It sounds like every other 4K OLED monitor, especially when there's a non-pro version of the same monitor. But what sets this apart from the rest is DisplayPort 2.1 with full 80 gigabit per second bandwidth. And this is huge because although there's no graphics cards at the moment that support that full bandwidth of UHBR 20, getting this monitor means you'd be future-proofing for next generation of GPUs that should be coming with DisplayPort 2.1. Now, price for this monitor ain't cheap. The FO32U2 Pro comes with a premium price tag of $1,300, so I want to know if this monitor is worth getting for your gaming desk setup. Taking a deeper dive into the specs, this monitor uses a 3rd generation QD-OLED panel with an anti-reflective semi-gloss coating that helps deliver beautiful colors, deep blacks, and amazing clarity. Downside of semi-gloss is glare, which I'll cover later on. For colors, this monitor is rated for a 99% DCI P3 color gamut coverage and is factory calibrated for Delta E less than 2 with a max of 10-bit color depth for beautiful colors. For certifications, we get both VISA certified clear MR 13000 and display HDR True Black 400. Brightness and SDR is rated at 250 nits with a peak HDR brightness of 1000 nits. We also get dual 5-watt speakers that sound pretty decent as well. Sadly for gaming, there is no NVIDIA G-Sync compatibility. However, they do have AMD FreeSync Premium Pro, so it will be compatible when you enable G-Sync in the settings. For inputs, this monitor is crazy stacked. So far, the best versatility that I've ever seen in a monitor. We're getting not one, but 2 DisplayPort 2.1 ports, with one being mini DisplayPort and the other full size, with both rated for UHBR 20. There's another full size DisplayPort 1.4, but it's an output for daisy chaining to another monitor, which can make your setup look so much cleaner. Next up, we have 2 HDMI 2.1 ports, a USB-C port with DP input and power delivery up to 65 watts, one USB 3.2 upstream port, with 2 USB-A 3.2 downstream ports, which also has KVM Switch support. And finally, there's a 3.5mm headphone jack and a microphone input. No other monitor that I have tested competes with the amount of connectivity ports. AORUS really meant no device left behind. Now let's test out the gaming performance of the AORUS FO32U2 Pro using my gaming PC equipped with a Ryzen 9950X and ROG Strix 4090. To take advantage of 4K gaming at 240Hz refresh rate, playing an action-packed game is a great way to enjoy this monitor. Starting off with Black Ops 6 with extreme graphics settings, I can get a reliable 180 FPS by using NVIDIA's DLSS set to ultra performance. If I want more FPS to get up to 240, I can always drop the graphics for higher frames. First-person shooters look amazing on the display, and while this monitor is not G-Sync compatible certified, you can still enable it and it works with AMD FreeSync technology for tear-free gaming. I think 240Hz is plenty for 4K resolution. The dual-watt 5-watt speakers sound really good for a monitor, which is perfect for those that might have a tight space for fitting speakers. High FPS gaming is great and all, but this QD OLED display also makes single player games like Black Myth Wukong look stunning in both SDR and HDR. To help elevate your gaming experience, the AORUS FO32U2 Pro has many gaming features. You can adjust picture settings in SDR with different presets that are optimized for different games. Adjust black levels with Black Equalizer 2.0, and with Game Assist, you can add crosshairs, enable Eagle Eye Zoom Box, and finally, there's Tactical Switch. Using the right key next to the menu button will give you a prompt to confirm the tactical switch, which brings your screen size down to 24 inches, and it also switches the resolution from 4K to 1080p. This emulates an eSport standard screen size for better focus. You can move the 24-inch screen to the center or top, and the whole transition happens within a few seconds. I personally would have wanted to retain the 4K resolution since you do lose a lot of visual fidelity. Now, I don't recommend using Tactical Switch while you're gaming since the transition can cause your game to quit or take a very long time to switch. If you're using VRR like G-Sync or FreeSync, an unfortunate downside is OLED VRR Flicker that can be noticeable in very dark scenes and loading screens. It can also depend on the game and color settings. Now, to eliminate VRR Flicker, you can disable G-Sync or FreeSync and you'll notice the issue completely vanish. This is something that so far affects many OLED panels, so I hope AORUS implements features that help minimize the impact of VRR Flicker. Testing out the PS5 on this monitor, and I'm happy to report that you'll be able to enjoy 4K output with variable refresh rates all the way up to 120 Hz. This is thanks to HDMI 2.1, which lets you maximize your console's full potential. The built-in speakers is very convenient for sound output, since monitors without speakers means you'll have to rely on external speakers if you don't want to use headphones. Now keep in mind that the PS5 automatically outputs HDR signals, so if you want to be able to use certain settings like black equalizers or certain game visual settings, you'll need to disable HDR so you can enjoy those features. I really think this monitor is a great option for console gamers looking for an OLED display to get up close and personal versus a larger OLED TV. While the semi-gloss QD-OLED panel looks great and has amazing clarity, a downside to consider is glare and how intense lighting can affect your experience. Like most semi-gloss QD-OLED panels, they suffer from raised blacks and will show a purplish tint. This can be an issue if you don't have proper lighting control or use it during the day with sunlight or other sources. At night and in darker setups, the semi-gloss is almost unmatched with how beautiful it looks, so it's important to consider the placement of your monitor and lighting control. This being the first OLED monitor to have DisplayPort 2.1 makes this a great choice for future proofing. AORUS says this monitor is built for next-gen dominance since DP 2.1 UHB 20 has almost double the bandwidth of HDMI 2.1 and 2.5 times more bandwidth than DisplayPort 1.4. Now, to run 4K at 240 Hz, any GPU that uses DisplayPort 1.4a or even the AMD Radeon 7000 series or Intel Arc that actually have DisplayPort 2.1 but with lower bandwidth, it still requires display stream compression. But with full 80 gigabit per second bandwidth, you can in theory run 4K 240 uncompressed. Now for most, I don't think DisplayPort 2.1 is something that you really need unless if you're planning on getting next-gen GPUs and truly want to utilize the full potential of DisplayPort 2.1. Now I do want to add that the cable inside the box is a mini DisplayPort 2.1 to full-size DisplayPort. Now this is great, however the cable is very short, so if your PC sits very far, then that might be an issue. So you probably are going to need to use a different DisplayPort cable that might not be 2.1, since full 80 gigabit per second cables is still new and most of those cables are on the shorter side. Taking a look at the design of this monitor, it looks fire. It has a beautiful black finish with premium hard metals, and it also has a mature and sophisticated look, and I absolutely love the hologram touches that it has. The front screen has very thin bezels on the top three sides and a slim bezel on the bottom. The stand has good ergonomic support with high tilt, swivel, and pivot adjustments, and the stand does a good job of cable management. The base has like a W-shaped design, which can take some of your desk space. I prefer mounting my monitors on a monitor arm, so I used a Pixio single monitor arm for a cleaner setup. USB-C and KVM. Often overlooked, but when it comes to me, these are must-have features. I can easily connect my MacBook or laptop and utilize the USB-A ports on the back that are connected to my mouse and keyboard for a seamless connection. The KVM switch can automatically switch between my gaming PC and MacBook, which is great for those that have multiple devices. Another upside is the 65 watt power delivery, which charges your laptop all from a single cable. Now, a new feature that I personally haven't seen or tried yet is the ability to daisy chain another monitor using the additional DisplayPort output port. So instead of using two separate input cables connected to my graphics card or directly to my laptop to use two monitors, for example, I can instead use one input to the AORUS FO32U2 Pro and use a second DisplayPort cable from the monitor to a secondary monitor. and this will probably make your setup look so much cleaner. Testing out the brightness of this monitor, I got a peak of 272 nits on a 2% window and 265 nits on a 100% window. You're definitely getting a bit more than the typical rated brightness of 250 nits, which I think is bright enough to enjoy all of your content. In HDR, I measured a peak of 1071 nits of brightness on a 1% window and 269 nits on a 100% window. If you're on the latest FO5 firmware update, AORUS did add a HDR peak 1000 mode on the bottom, so you'll have a total of 5 different HDR modes. I think HDR looks great on this monitor with proper HDR calibration and certain game settings. This monitor has many OLED burn-in prevention features that you can find in a dedicated OLED care menu setting. It tells you your total usage, when it's ready to pixel clean, and even more custom OLED settings that you can tweak and disable. What's also great is that AORUS gives us a 3-year premium warranty that covers panel burn-in just in case. The on-screen menu and customizations are great on this monitor, but if you like to control your monitor from your PC, you can also use GigaByte Control Center. Now, I will say that their software integration isn't the best, and I think they should work on the aesthetics to make it feel more premium. Text clarity on this monitor is excellent. The 4K resolution helps give you more sharpness with a higher pixel density of about 140 pixels per inch on a 31.5-inch display. This makes text look nice and sharp, and in my experience, I have no issues with color fringing. Office apps and web browsing look great, and having a large display lets you have multiple apps and windows open at the same time without feeling cluttered. The only thing to consider is the potential glare issues you may encounter depending on your setup. For productivity work like photo and video editing, this monitor is awesome. I use DaVinci Resolve for my creative workflow, and from the time that I've been using this monitor, creating content has been a breeze. The accurate colors, amazing contrast, and 4K resolution make this a productive workhorse. The only thing that could hold this back is that glare, so if you're someone who uses this monitor in a brighter setup or during the day, you'll have to consider potential glare from light sources that could be distracting. So for $1,300, is the AORUS FO32U2 Pro worth getting for your gaming desk setup? I mean, if you want to future-proof and are looking forward to next-gen GPUs that are hopefully going to use DisplayPort 2.1 UHBR 20, then this OLED monitor is the perfect choice. But if you're someone who doesn't need DP 2.1, then going for the AORUS FO32U might be a better option since it's $200 cheaper. You would also open up to more options when it comes to 4K OLED monitors that only have DisplayPort 1.4. Still, this is an amazing OLED monitor that I would recommend for those looking for an ultimate 4K gaming monitor with great productivity and excellent options of connectivity. You're also going to need a powerful gaming PC to handle the demands of 4K gaming, but you also have the choice of using next-gen consoles like the PS5 for 4K gaming up to 120 FPS. For these reasons, the AORUS FO32U2 Pro is worth a spot on your gaming desk setup. If you're interested in getting this monitor or the many tech that you've seen in this video, I will have a few links down below, which also helps to support the Firewolf Tech channel. I hope this video was helpful for you guys, and I would love your support with a like, share, and subscribe. Firewolf out.